It's my feel-good breakfast show.
Welcome back to your feel-good breakfast show. Hopefully that tune and the sound of baby laughter tickles your belly a little bit, as it does every single time. It's time for baby talk. Now, does your little one's screen time have an effect on their development? Well, in a world where children are growing up in a digital age, parents play an important role in helping them learn healthy concepts of digital use. And on today's baby talk, we're joined, of course, by our friend, occupational therapist Meg Faure, who has promised to let us in on the guidelines that parents should know about in terms of technology and their children. Great to have you here, and a very, very important and relevant topic once again. We just always keep hitting it on the nail where we are right now. Meg, how are you?
Good, fine, thanks, Kat. Yeah.
So interesting, because we obviously, being the pseudo-intellectuals that we are, we pick up on the stories that we read. That's basically what feeds our kind of interest here. I watched an amazing documentary talking about the development of fine motor skills, how it actually does help for a child to have limited time using an app or using kind of digital technology. Is that the case? Is it better or is it worse? What do we get out of our children? What do our children get from using kind of tech?
So I'm quite interested in that piece of research. I haven't seen it, but fine motor, I would say later on, yes, potentially there could be some benefits.
Slicing the fruit.
And also a lot of parents, talk about the fact that kids have to be exposed to tech early on because they're going to be living in a world in which they have to access it through technology.
Of course, yeah.
So yes, there's a place for tech, and an important place, particularly in the school system later on. But what we're really focusing on in this baby talk segment is much more around the small infant and up to 3 years old.
Okay.
And what we know about them is that it definitely will not help fine motor control.
Really?
And the reason is that at that point in their life, they are actually developing the shoulder stability and core stability that's important for fine motor control later. And the only way you establish that is through gross motor play. And that's the one thing, or one of many things actually, that when you're involved with technology, you're getting none of. So I would say that maybe potentially fine motor later on, but definitely not at the baby stage.
You've got to wrestle, man. You've got to wrestle.
Yep,
Absolutely.
you have to wrestle, exactly.
One thing that's important to us at home right now is our little boy's linguistic development.
Yeah.
We're trying to infuse as many languages into him as possible. I mean, I'm speaking Setswana to him, Mommy's speaking English, we've got Xhosa, Nanny who comes in to look after him. But very so often you get that app thrown your way. It says, this will teach your child language. This will teach them how to use tech better. Is there any truth to that? Oh, wait, what?
Fake news.
Sorry.
That's fake news,
None at all.
really?
In fact, I'm going to completely throw that out and say that it's exactly the opposite. So research has been done, and this was research, I don't know if you ever heard about the Baby Einstein videos. They were this video
Baby
series,
Einstein, yes.
and Disney bought the company from a woman for like millions of dollars.
Okay.
And the reason was that she said that if your baby watches these videos, they will have an increased language skills and they'll become like baby Einsteins. So what happened was that one of the universities in America said, we need to have a look at this and see if it's true.
Yes.
And they found that the little ones who were watching videos...
That's baby Einstein on
Yeah, it's just messaging me.
device.
A 6-month-old has just sent me an email saying...
So what happened actually was that instead of little ones actually having increased language, the exact opposite happened. And it was at that moment that kind of the whole world stopped. And this is quite a few years ago, this is about 10 years ago, the whole world stopped and said, hold on, what's actually happening with language and technology? Now, what happens with language and tech is that tech is very two-dimensional. I mean, even things like Talking Cat, which actually does respond to you, that little app.
Yes.
Even that still doesn't benefit any form of language for little ones because language learning happens in the context of a relationship. So when you say to your little one, come, let's go see the piggy, and he smells, and there's a whole sensory experience around the smell and the pig, then your little one will learn language. But if he sees it on an app, there's no other dimensions in terms of, there's only auditory dimensions.
Wow.
And that is the reason why it does not benefit language at all. In fact, the opposite.
Baby Shark. Now, I'm just trying to think of a reality where I don't have Baby Shark to occupy my little one for just those critical 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Where we just need him. There must be, surely, Meg, don't ruin it for all of us, a space for tech. We're going to talk about the parameters of using tech and where it can be healthy or helpful, maybe not just for the baby, but for the parents as well. We know. But we are talking about tech and our little ones at that critical phase, the early childhood development. Maybe you can continue to let us know on our Facebook page. Okay, limit your amount of time looking at the screen, but at what age have you introduced tech, and how do you govern the parameters of tech screen time with your little ones?
It's my feel-good breakfast show.
feel it in your bones. We absolutely love that little giggle. Important discussion we're having this morning as part of our Baby Talk broader conversation. We're asking, does your little one's screen time have an effect on their development? And in a world where children are growing up in a digital age, we can't escape it. Unfortunately, parents play a vital role in helping them learn healthy concepts of digital use. How much is too much? Well, on today's Baby Talk, we are joined, as we always are, by our occupational therapist, Meg Faure, and who's promised us to list the guidelines, the parameters of how parents should approach screen time, especially with younger children and babies, and how we should be developing their use of technology. And joining us on the couch is our Tropica celebrity contestant, Thando Duma, who is, of course, a mother of a beautiful, beautiful, gorgeous child known as Spatle.
And Spatle is 2 years old, right?
Yes.
So she fits perfectly into the age group that we're talking about in terms of tech. So
Precious,
she,
eh?
absolutely beautiful personality as well.
Bubba's gorgeous as well, man.
So, Ntando, how have you gone about introducing technology into Spatle's life? Have you done so? And what kind of measures and guidelines are you using, if any?
I haven't really sat down in Spatle and said, this is a cell phone, this is an iPad, this is this. But she obviously, you know, she's very curious to know what's happening, what is this, and how does it work. So she always pulls my phone and see how she can operate and go to whatever, you know. And I think, as I said before, like, she's such a really smart kid, and she always wants to know what's happening. And she is, I mean, how do I put it?
Oh, I think curiosity is what you're looking for, because I think, like you say, she's always like trying to grab something and find out, like, what are you doing?
Yes.
And then what's on the TV?
Yes.
And you want to foster that.
Yeah,
you want to let that grow.
That's a natural curiosity which you hope to, like you say, foster, as Graham said.
Absolutely, and in fact, that's really the root of creativity.
Yeah.
Is, you know, really curiosity is what breeds creativity. So when your little one wants to explore things, that's how they become creative. I do think, though, that having more time with other opportunities, like, for instance, at her age, like a box is something she'll also be curious about. And you learn a lot more about the world just looking at a box and blocks and all that sort of thing than you do on apps, because apps for little ones, you know, it really, most apps have a sequence that you go through as opposed to allowing creativity to be explored.
And it's almost the satisfaction of being able to repeat something over and over, which I know that little ones really do get a lot of. I can see it with Jack, but also it's a satisfaction, and not necessarily growing through the experience, but it's often a great way of occupying them in time. And I think that's where parents really need to think. We've had a couple of comments coming through, and I know we're focusing on the younger ones, but if you take a look at our social media platforms, we were asking you guys about screen time, how much do you allow, and how old your kids are. Morena came in with, good morning, 5 hours per week. Her kids are 9, 13 and 15.
5 hours per week.
That's
basically an hour a day.
Which is spot on. I wouldn't have a problem with that.
Yeah?
And I suppose there's gaming and there's screen time. Okay, are you watching TV or are you playing Fortnite? That's a big one. Leonette Ryan saying, good morning, Expresso Familia. She's getting into our languages there as well. She has 3 kids, 16, 10 and 6. 3 hours a week after homework.
Oh, wow.
Again,
Earn the right.
Which I think is actually amazing. Both of these moms are limiting screen time, because if you think about only an hour a day or less in the case of the second comment, that's not a lot of screen time for kids that age. You know, for little kids, that would be a huge amount. But for older kids, I wouldn't have a problem with any of those times, for sure,
All right, let's take a look at Nadine Dina Roberts, who says, good morning, team. My girls are still young, under the age of 3, so no screen time for them yet. What do you make of that?
So the American Association of Pediatrics issued a statement 2 years ago in which they said screen time is so detrimental to the development of the human brain under the age of 2 that it should be banned altogether for children under the age of 2. So that means, no iPads, no cell phones, nothing. And I know, I mean, Graham's pointed out we live in a real world, and that's not realistic.
I hear you saying this, and I can't obviously fight scientific research, but I look at the connection to certain elements of my own boy's development and what he is able to do in terms of honing his little intellectual might in using a device, and it doesn't seem mind-numbing. It doesn't seem like it's destroy. You know, if anything, it seems to have enhanced his intelligence.
I think the question I want to ask is, what does that research say?
in what way does it maybe...
So there was an incredible piece of research that was published this year in April in Canada of 2,400 children.
Yeah.
And they looked at what was the average time these children were spending on technology and how did that correlate with language development, motor development, planning, and social skills. 4 paradigms, four areas. And they found across the board there was a direct correlation between number of hours using technology and poorer outcomes in development. So in other words, the more time they used, the poorer their developmental outcomes.
But were they able to check whether those parents are putting their children in social environments to stimulate social activity?
Yeah, because there are various factors.
Are playing physical games with them
that's... Graham is fighting for the cause.
That's what I'm saying.
No, but I hear you, but I just, because I can't escape the fact that this is the world, and I feel like I'm the least digital,
But there's a lot of time for it, and that's what, you opened today and you spoke about those fine motor skills. That comes later. In those first 3 years, the stuff that happens there are the foundation skills, and that can only be done through real-time play and real relationships. It can't happen through technology at all. Sorry.
Dana, does this kind of shift your mind a bit?
Yeah, because I recently just bought a phone for Spatley.
Okay, that's ridiculous. I'm just going to say it.
Yeah, because I don't want her using my phone because I've got my stuff that I don't want.
What did you buy her?
An iPhone 7 Plus.
Does it have a banking app on it?
Well...
Oh, man. Listen, I tell you what, you can keep on throwing the comments in on Espresso Morning Show SABC3. We're going to leave you now over to the kitchen because there's some deliciousness going on and we have a very important conversation to continue here. Okay, cheers, guys. Leanne, over to you.